All right. I got my coffee. I'm ready. I'm ready to be learned on this.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lesson.
Hello, everybody. GL Smith, Drew Brereton, Northwest Vintage Guitars. And this is part 2 of the GL Smith pedalboard build. Drew has graciously offered to help me build a pedalboard. If you've seen part 1, we've got kind of the pedals we want. And Drew said, hey, maybe you should take a look at what I've done. And I could gain from his years of experience. So
Yeah.
first off, I noticed right off the bat, you came in with this thing, and I'm thinking, boy, he means business. Look at that Pelican case.
Yep, it's a
Flight case with the fancy latches and everything.
waterproof.
Comfort handle.
Yep. This is the Pelican Storm IM 2450. It says it right on there. That's the only reason I know that.
Okay.
But it's nice.
And this is just a generic case that you have made a pedal board to fit it, actually, right?
Yeah, it actually ended up being that I just found the Pelican case that fit the board that I already had.
There, okay.
Because for a couple of years, I used this board with no case, which I hate doing. But for local gigs, it was okay. I would just load it last,
Okay.
in the car. But I decided I needed something, and the Pelican case obviously is great.
Now, this is nice because this will fit my criteria for a pedal board. Is when I go to the studio or to the jam, one trip in.
Mm-hmm.
I carry my guitar, my amp, and a pedal board.
Yeah.
And if I've got gig bags with straps, I can carry 2 guitars on my back and then just make one trip in. I play a Princeton Reverb, but usually when we go out to Cider Mountain, they've got more than enough stuff there. But yeah, so this would fit. This would be it would fit the criteria of being able to be portable and carryable in one hand. So cool.
Yeah, I agree. Excuse me. Making one trip is always preferable, especially if you're, loading in at a bar or something. You don't want to leave stuff in the car for too long. You never know. So
yeah,
big subscriber to that.
I played for a long time in California, and you just couldn't leave stuff out in the car, not even with it completely locked and covered with a blanket. It just didn't matter.
Yeah, I try not to. Yeah, nice Pelican case. It's a great purchase. This board is going to be a little bit of what to do and probably a little bit of what not to do.
Okay.
Because what is the expression about car mechanics? Like, car mechanics are always the guys whose cars don't run that well or something.
Right.
Or an electrician, he has his house all.
If you go back a little further in time, it was the cobbler, and his kids had no shoes.
Yeah. So it might be a little bit of that.
Yeah. Okay.
And I always have to make the disclaimer that when I do other people's boards, I do it a little neater than my own. But this is it. Oh my gosh, what a beast, right?
Wow.
Get this thing off the table.
Actually, that's not a big board.
It's not huge, but it gets a lot done. I have an extra power cable hanging out here because I was running something off of the board. I don't know if the camera can see it. We might want to make sure. Oh yeah, see, this is where you can pick it up. So this is, like I said in the last video, the board itself is a custom build from my buddy Jake. I think his company is JH Pro Audio. Okay. He's based in San Diego now. He used to live here. Great guy. We love Jake. And the cabling, he helped me, kind of learn how to do all that, but all the cabling has been done by me. The thing about this board is, since it is a gigging board, this thing gets a lot of use, hence why it's so dirty. It's filthy. I try to clean it once in a while, but you know how that goes. And for 2, I do switch things out once in a while, so that's why some of the cabling is not as clean and neat as it could be, is because when things get moved around, sometimes the cables don't get rerun in such a nice fashion. But I guess, should I run through the...
Definitely. I love what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
I noticed right off the bat you got the strobo stomp. You're not screwing around. Yeah. You went for the strobe. Yeah.
So I've used a few tuners. I used to use the Polytunes.
Sure.
I like those a lot. They've got a great buffer built in, which is important. But this is what I've been using lately. Peterson.
Is that in your chain, or does that come off of a tuner dry out or something off of one of your other pedals?
Nope.
It's in the chain?
Everything that you see is just in the chain. There's a very straightforward board, really. Just a couple little surprises that we'll get to. As far as I guess we can go through the signal path. It's just straight into the tuner, the Peterson Strobo Stomp HD. It's great, big display. You can change the colors of the display. It is a strobe tuner, which I like. When I use the Polytunes, I would use them in strobe mode, but this is nice. It even has Peterson's like sweetened tuning profiles built in, which I don't know if they matter that much. Anyway,
I think they do on acoustic.
yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
my guitar sounds in tune when I tune with that pedal. So
yeah.
I love this thing. I've had it for a couple of years now, I think. The next is the Brown Protein.
And
a little note from my loving wife, Tessa.
oh,
I don't know where she wrote this originally, but sometimes she leaves me notes because she's so sweet, and I put it on one of my pedals. The Brown Protein is dual overdrive. The left side of it is based on a Marshall Bluesbreaker pedal, and the right side is based off of a Nobles ODR1. I use the left side, the Bluesbreaker side, for kind of a light drive. It's kind of my main drive. The right side, the ODR1 side, I have set up a little heavier, just for a little more drive, and you can stack them. They sound great. That's been my favorite overdrive pedal for a little while now.
okay.
Next in the chain would be this, which is actually a kind of a DIY clone. I didn't build it. I bought it on Reverb, but it's based on a pedal by a brand called Jext Telez, and they just called it the white pedal. So it's a clone of that, but it's essentially a fuzz. It's kind of a ratty fuzz sound. Jext, gosh, we're nerding out here. The Jext Telez pedal that this is based off of was in turn based off of a distortion circuit from one of the old Vox amps in the 60s. The Vox Conqueror or something.
Oh, cool.
Had a sort of distortion circuit. That's what it's based off. The Beatles used it on a couple songs. It's not the Revolution guitar tone, because that's a console, straight into the console tone. But I think like songs like Helter Skelter back in the USSR used that the Vox Conqueror. So it's based on that. I use it as a fuzz.
Is it germanium diodes? Or?
It's not. So it's not transistor based. It's inductor based.
Okay.
Like a wah pedal would be, I guess. I don't know how it works. I don't claim to know the exact technical side of all of it, but it's not transistor based, which means it's not sensitive to impedance, and it's not sensitive to temperature like germanium would be.
Yeah, talk about that a little bit, because you told me a story about using your germanium diodes on a hot day.
Yeah, so everyone loves germanium fuzzes, myself included. I have a couple of them. I have a Mark I tone bender clone that I really like that's germanium, and I used to use that on my board. And I was playing a gig in the summer, and heat of the day, probably 100 degrees out, and the board was in the sun. And germanium is sensitive to temperature. It will change the sound of the fuzz, whether it's cold or hot. I think it's essentially changing the bias of the transistors when the when the temperature fluctuates.
Words are hard.
Yeah, and so it got so hot on that summer day that it got out of its bias range, and the pedal quit working entirely. I would also have moments where if it was hot and I was playing humbuckers, if I really dug in and drove the front of the pedal, it would cut out for a moment and then it would come back in. Really weird stuff happening with the germanium fuzzes.
So this
none of those issues exist with something like this.
Okay.
So it's more similar to, I don't know, it's not transistor based like a fuzz face would be. Something like a Big Muff is
sure
transistor based, or not. Sorry, not transistor based. So it's a Big Muff is not usually sensitive to temperature, as far as I know. Nor is this. So
is we go from here to
so we go from that to the EP Boost by Exotic. It's probably doesn't need much introduction. It's just a boost, essentially a clean boost. Technically, it models the Echoplex preamp. That's why it's the EP. So it does change the EQ of your guitar a little bit, kind of fattens it up.
Okay.
Which I don't mind. I do use it strictly for like a solo boost. But the little bit of EQ change is fine. It doesn't bug me. Sounds great.
What's next?
Well, the Altoids tin is just here to keep my tone fresh. No, but really, it just holds the capo and the picks.
There you go.
A bunch of picks. But but that is Velcroed on here also. So the only secret we have here is that after the drive section, we go under the hood where it gets a little messy, and it hits the compressor, the Origin Effects Cali 76 Compact Deluxe, as I talked about before in the last video. It's perfect. It's great. I love it. Never have to adjust it or turn it off. After that, it goes, I do have it running into this Chase Tone. It's called the Secret preamp. And that's mostly something I was kind of trying out for a while. It's another preamp kind of based off the Echoplex. And I was just using it because it kind of, this one just kind of adds a little sweetness to the tone. It just sounded nice. I'm actually not using it right now. Recently, I've not had it on. It's just still on there. But it's cool. So that's my little secret section. Those are the
perhaps a space for a future secret.
Yeah, absolutely. And then it comes up here to the Boss DC2W Wazacraft Dimension C. I don't know.
What do you use that for?
It's chorus. Sorry, I guess I should say that. It's a chorus. It's really simple. It's got 4 settings. The original Dimension C just had these 4 buttons, and you had 4 settings. The Wazacraft one has a switch to go between standard mode and the STD 320, which was kind of the rack mount version.
Yep.
And also you can press multiple buttons at the same time to get, different sounds. But I use it almost only on the 2 or the 3 mode. I don't use chorus a ton, but it's great.
And then we go into the El Capitan, and you recommended this to me for a tap delay.
Yeah. So the El Capitan is the Strymon's digital tape delay. It's it emulates all of the tape degrading sounds and the little imperfections that you get from tape catching on the rollers, those little movements that you hear in tape echoes. It can emulate those, or you can kind of tune that out of it, so it can be pretty clean, but it's always going to sound tape-ish.
And that's the wow and flutter.
Yeah, that's part of it. There's a couple other like hidden settings you can do. You can adjust the tape age also. Adjust how bright or dark the repeats are. It's got all these different modes for tape heads and things, so it can kind of emulate like a single speed motor like an Echoplex, a fixed speed motor like an Echoplex, or the variable speed motor like a Space Echo, I think is kind of what they're going for. You can do multiple tape heads. It's got all sorts of stuff. I really don't use nearly all of the settings. I use it mostly for a slap back, and then I'll use it for a tap delay when I need it.
And then you're going into a rotary.
Yeah, this is a Strymon Lex with another loving note from my wife. I realize I have 2 of them on here.
For double the love.
Yeah, double the love. We love Tessa. Yeah, this one hasn't been on my board super long. It kind of got switched on at the end of the summer. But it's just a Leslie simulator. It does a great job though. It you can switch between your slow and fast modes, and you can adjust the speed of the slow and the fast.
That's nice.
Strymon really packs a lot into their pedals. You can adjust how far the mic is from the Leslie. This is for the horn level. It's basically the high end. It's great. I wish I got the chance to use it more because the Leslie sound on guitar is great. But
yeah, it is.
I don't get to use it as much as I would like.
And then we got one of the Maestro reissues.
Yeah, so this is
the Mariner.
Yeah, this is the new line of Maestro pedals after Gibson bought Maestro, I believe is when they did this line. It's called the Mariner Tremolo. I love harmonic tremolo as an effect, and I used to use the Strymon Flint, but long story short, I've been going on a bit of a search for a harmonic tremolo pedal that I really love, and I've tried a lot of them. This is the latest. I don't know if it's the one yet. It's been pretty good. It's pretty flexible, but I don't know if it's the one yet. Time will tell. This is the most recent addition to the board. I've had a few others, harmonic trem pedals on the board, and yeah, but it's been good.
Okay,
we'll see if it stays. A notable omission from this board in its current state is reverb. I don't have any reverb on the board, and that's because I've just been using the reverb on the amp for the first time in a long time.
Because recently,
Yeah, well, I've got a very nice Princeton reverb that I've been playing, and its reverb sounds great. And the only kind of reverb I ever use on my board is spring anyway. So usually I use a pedal for consistency, and so I can switch it off without going back to the amp. But lately, because of what I have on the board currently, and for space reasons, I just decided to use the amp spring reverb.
there you go.
But that's the reason I don't have one on the board right now. And then I don't know what else to say about it, but underneath, in addition to the two hidden pedals, I have the Voodoo Labs Pedal Power 3 Plus.
Mm-hmm.
Mine's flipped upside down because of that gives more room to route cables
that's nice.
under the plugs. Just a small thing.
I like
that was a Jake tip. He said mount that upside down. You got more room.
I love it.
Smart. And as you can see, almost all of the outputs are being used.
Yeah.
And then this is just a little junction box that Jake built. The purpose for it, so this ends up being after the compressor, it goes into this, and then currently it's just looped and it goes up to the top. The reason I have this is so that if I want to try out a new drive pedal or a new chorus pedal, just want to try it at home or something, I can unplug this, run it to the pedal, run the pedal back into here.
That's brilliant.
I can just loop something in without taking apart any of the...
I want that.
Yeah. Yeah, we can do that.
Okay.
Because I have all these cables tied down so much,
Yeah.
Even if I take this cable out,
it's not going
it's
anywhere.
zip tied down.
Yeah.
I can't really plug something in over here with that, so I have that box. Kind of a quality of life thing that affords me the ability to tie all of the cables down, have them not move. You can see this is kind of a mess, like I said, because I move things around. And for my own board, I don't care too much about being super neat and tidy. And you can see like this stuff, though, is all zip tied together.
Oh yeah.
It
looks nice and neat and tidy to me. A little dirty.
Oh yeah.
Just means it's being used.
Gets used a lot. This thing has been used and abused. Cable routing on the back is pretty simple. Zip tie everything down so that nothing moves, because that's how you break cables. It's by the stress and the moving and the bending and the kinking. So if you just lay everything out nicely, zip tie everything down, your cables will last much longer.
That's a nice piece of advice right there. More than once, I've had a patch cable go bad in a signal chain, and well, I didn't have a pedal board. They were all just free pedals laying on the floor.
Yep,
so,
we've all had it happen.
Yeah, you grab one of them and pick them all up and put them in your bag,
Yeah.
Leave them all connected so you don't have to unhook them. I used to do that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. But I like the size of your board.
Yeah.
Can we do something like this, a 2-tier with a wall on one side?
I actually might have something at home that we could... it's another board that Jake built for himself, and he moved on to something else, and so I acquired it from him. But it's a similar build, but the tier is not the full width. So maybe that'll work.
So like
for you.
a wall would go right there.
Exactly. He had a volume pedal over there, I believe.
Oh, volume.
So but
because he played a guitar that didn't have a volume on.
He was probably playing at church. He needed to do his swells.
Don't get us started.
Nothing wrong with that.
All right. Well.
Oh wait.
What?
The last
Okay.
pedal board secret.
Okay.
So everyone uses that Velcro that comes with the pedal train board, right?
Yeah.
It comes in a big roll, and you just lay it on, and it's fuzzy on one side, and it's scratchy on the other, and it sucks.
Every piece of debris that comes within a foot of it ends up stuck to it.
Yeah. And it just doesn't work that well.
Right.
Would you agree?
Yeah.
Never works that well. So we don't use that anymore. It's 2024.
Epoxy.
No, we use, it's called dual lock Velcro.
Oh.
Okay. It's the best. It doesn't have two different sides. It's the same stuff, but it literally clicks together like a Lego or something. Okay.
I think I have seen that. Yeah.
So I don't know if it'll work with every pedal.
Strong.
I can pick up. Okay, it finally popped. You hear it pop though?
Yeah, yeah.
And listen to it pop on.
Oh, wow.
I think that side's already on.
Oh,
You hear that? Hear that lock in?
That's
I can
solid.
pick up
That's secure.
this board by many of these pedals. And I'm just grabbing the tuner here. You can lift the whole board just by that.
Oh,
It's decently heavy. That's the only thing about this board. I mean, but it's got a lot of pedals on it. You know, I felt worse.
have you sorted pedals by weight before?
No, I don't worry about it. But when it's in the Pelican case, it's got some heft. It could be
It
used
does.
as a weapon. But
Yeah.
I'm telling you, this dual lock, these pedals generally, with some exceptions like these small pedals, just less surface area,
Yeah.
they still stick really well, but they will come off. You know, they'll come off if you're pulling on them.
Right.
I never have a pedal come off while it's in its case. I never have them come off during gigs. On the bigger pedals that have more dual lock on the back, more surface area, I've had to use a butter knife to pry it off of the board before, and you got pop it off, like on these Strymons. It's incredible stuff. It's expensive,
Yeah.
but it's worth every penny to me. I buy it in rolls, you know,
Uh-huh.
and you just cut it to length, and you put it on the pedal and the board side. It's the same,
Okay.
and it just pops together.
And it looks like you go full footprint too on those.
Not on all of them.
Now, one thing I am noticing, because I know you do a lot of work in the studio.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're prolific. Right?
Definitely.
That's where we met, actually.
That's true. Yeah.
And you don't have a DI there.
No.
Well,
For guitar?
I would never use one, but most people's pedal boards has somewhere where they can have a DI.
Not this one.
Have you? You haven't needed it, huh?
No. For my purposes, I generally don't need to DI. I have a pedal or two that I could bring for that and run it off the end if I need to. But
now you're going to Japan here next month. Yeah. And you're playing bass for Snacks at Midnight. Are you taking a pedal board, or you were talking about a DI capability on that rig?
I'm looking into a couple options. My current plan is to go really simple. I don't need a lot of like effects for bass for that band, so I'm going to obviously have a tuner, and then I am looking to do a couple options for something that can do a DI and possibly even some drive or something. I'm looking into the Origin Effects stuff. And the JHS color box I'm thinking of bringing.
Yeah,
I should have backline amps there, but just
that's the Neve based preamp.
Yeah, so that sounds good on everything. Can double as a DI.
Nice. Okay. Cool. All right. And Snacks at Midnight. I know we mentioned them. Drew will be touring Japan with them in January. Mm-hmm. We'll put a link below to Snacks at Midnight.
Sure.
You can check out them. Another one of many of Drew's musical projects.
Yes, I'm very lucky to be involved.
Yeah.
With a lot of bands.
Yeah. So this concludes part 2 of the great pedalboard build.
Yeah.
And thanks, Drew, for bringing in your pedal board and sharing it with everybody.
Easy access for the power, too.
That's all you need. Oh, yeah. The IEC power. Nice.
Boom.
So, from me, from Drew, Northwest Vintage Guitars, see ya. You know, I think